Look, I'm gonna be the one to say it. Just because you have one good conversation with your homies, that does not mean that you need to start a podcast. I'm tired of dudes talking about...
Look, it be hella tempting, bro. Cause you know how many conversations I've had with my homeboys that have edited, bro. We should make some content out of that shit, bro. It's tempting. I got a whole setup back there in my living room that will be an amazing podcast set. It's so tempting to not go buy some microphones and start a podcast, bro. I started like 6 podcasts. Never made it past the 2nd episode.
Aliens once, then thinking that they have the right to buy a Shure SM7B from Best Buy, now they got a podcast called Alien Talks that's just uninteresting and dry. The host sucks, the friends suck, and even the podcast name sucks. You're not the next Joe Rogan, bro. Put the mic down and put the fries in the bag. Someone's gotta say it. Remember that one relative that told you that you weren't making it to the NBA when you were like 5 years old? Just think of me as that. Hey,
did he just say relative? Bro, relative, bro. I know that's some small shit, but I've never heard nobody say relative, like relative. Damn, he got me saying it like that, relative.
Everyone needs a little bit of tough love in their life. Not everyone can be nice in this world. And I'm gonna be the boogeyman here saying how your podcast sucks and your friends are boring. Maybe you should think twice before you take that trip to Best Buy. See, the problem is that this world is way too nice now. And now we have podcast clips of dudes talking about how they want their mothers to have good sexual experiences.
Because I love my mom, I want her to come. I don't know if this is weird to say.
Oh, I hope that podcast. Oh. Well, how does this conversation even come up? Bro? This is not one of those things that happens organically. This has to be one of those things that you go to your podcast host and be like, yo, I want to get this take off. Let's try to find a way to transition to this. Because what the fuck are you even talking about, my nigga?
But I want my mom to have flawless experiences.
How do you not know if that's weird to say? Like, oh my gosh, I want my mom to have great sexual experience. That is weird.
I want you to have that. Yeah, and I want you to have that as well. So it's like, is that weird to say? Like, I genuinely want my mom to be getting down good.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you some tough love.
Jesus fucking Christ, bro. That's just the nastiest shit I've ever heard, bro. Why do you... You're right. You know what? Maybe I was a little bit too generous, bro. Take everybody's mics away, bro. Because this is what happens when niggas start talking and there is no end. They have no idea what they're working towards and they're trying to get their next clip off, so they start saying outrageous shit like this. I don't give a fuck what my mama does, okay? I don't give a fuck. I hope that she stays a healthy person. I don't wish nothing else. Anything past that is starting to get too fucking nasty, bro.
Right here, you know, this is gonna be the toughest love that you've ever felt. This love is gonna be tougher than a well-done steak. You need to stop podcasting, bro. I'm sorry. Never in my life have I ever thought about my mom having good sexual experiences.
Me neither,
Y'all
bro.
are just odd human beings. What even sparks this conversation? Like, how do you even get to this point? And why was this video even uploaded to the masses, bro? We need to start telling people no more often. You know what, man? I'm thinking about starting a podcast. No, bro, put the mic down. At this point, it needs to be easier to buy an RPG from a gun store than it is to buy a microphone from Best Buy. Because I promise
I don't know about
if there
that,
were
bro.
background checks for mics, we would be nowhere near this point.
Bro.
It feels like everyone has a podcast nowadays. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. NBA players, rappers, children. The Hawk Tua girl just started a podcast called Talk Tua. Don't get me wrong. Shout out to her for running up a bag off that one phrase, you know? I saw that she got...
that name is fucking fire, bro. The play off Hawk Tua to Talk Tua, I'm not gonna lie. As much as I don't listen to that shit, that is a fire fucking name.
Got 30K for popping out to a club a few weeks ago. Like, kudos to her, you know? I'ma clap it up for her. But why would I want to hear that woman speak for 2 hours straight each week about current events in her life? I mean, for crying out loud, she got famous for talking about how she spits on the pee-pee. Why am I supposed to care about what this woman has to say? Does she really need a podcast for saying Hawk Tua and spit on that thing? You get me? The world could go without a podcast from this woman. You know what? Maybe I'm just hating, you know? Maybe, why don't I just check out one episode?
Can't do it as good as him.
Do it.
You do it.
No, you do it.
Hot to.
You gotta put like an emphasis on it, like tuh.
to.
Yeah. Say it. All right. All together.
I want to kill myself after saying that.
Hot to.
Say it aggressive, like
Hot
really.
to.
Yeah, that's bad, bro.
After watching one episode of the Talk to a Podcast, I wanted to announce that I am quitting YouTube and becoming a full-time neurosurgeon, astronaut, and monk, all because of this podcast. This is one of the most enlightening podcasts that I have ever watched, and I just wanted to say thank you, Hawk Tuah Girl, for opening my third eye and helping me evolve.
That's inspirational. That's what podcasts are for, bro.
Podcast. I really appreciate you. All jokes aside, no hate to her. She's just capitalizing off her opportunity like any other human being would in her position. But overall, I just don't think there's anything really interesting about this woman that sets her apart from all these other podcasts out there. Yeah, she may be able to get
See, here's the thing. You gotta try, bro. You gotta try. You don't just get a viral ass moment like that gets everybody talking about you and do nothing with it, bro. And as crazy as it sounds, I don't listen to it personally, but her making this podcast, that became a meme as well, bro. That became a meme. That is going to keep her relevant for at least 3 more months, bro. I'm not going to lie. I understand it, bro. As a business move, that's a great decision, bro. If you get some fame, you make a goofy-ass podcast, that will stretch your fame for a couple more months until that kind of fades out. Then you got to find something else to do. The next step will probably be the OnlyFans, where she actually talked to us. It's a joke. I'm not saying every woman has to do that. It was a joke. But that's how it goes a lot of times. But yeah.
Great guest on there because the podcast is connected to Better, which is a sports media company co-owned by Jake Paul. But at the end of the day, like, the guest can only carry her so far, you know? Like I said, there's not much interesting about this woman. She got famous for saying how she spits on the nutsack, you feel me? But like I said, she's just capitalizing off of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Podcasts, after all, aren't the hardest thing to do. Podcasting is one of those things that I believe is easy to start, but hard to master. The bare minimum is to get a few mics, sit down with some friends, record, chat for a little bit, and boom, you got a podcast. Like, it's not that hard. And if you already have an audience, it makes creating a podcast even easier, because if the audience you've garnered cares to watch you for like maybe a few seconds or a few minutes each day, they'll for sure listen to you talk for about 2 hours each week. So it makes sense to why so many people are starting podcasts nowadays. But like the title says, not everyone needs one. While some of them are good, some just feel like people talking just to talk. Like, I wouldn't even call some people's podcast a podcast. I'd rather call it mic terrorism. The other day, I saw a podcast clip of 2 dudes talking about lefty loosey, righty tighty being the greatest invention of all time.
Lefty loosey, righty tighty is the craziest invention of man. I use that all the time.
You know what?
The saying lefty loosey, righty tighty. No, we just got a new machine. It's like it's.
No, I know he's about to hate on this shit. Now, I don't think it's the greatest invention of all time. But yo, this shit is pretty fucking helpful, bro. It always comes in clutch, bro. I literally just moved, bro. Let me show y'all, bro. That shit, the reason my desk is up right now and I got my bed set up right now is remembering lefty loosey, righty tighty. Got my motherfucking drill and shit. And every time, like clockwork, bro. Change the direction. I don't have the battery in and shit. But, bro, I'm not going to hate on this. I'm not going to hate on this take. I don't think that's a bad take. That's a bad take. I actually think that is a kind of decent take. I would agree, bro. I think that's a great fucking invention, bro.
Articulating log loader.
Yeah, what?
Sounds like my toilet paper.
Yeah.
There's forks like this that picks up a log, and then it can open and close on it, and the left button opens it, and the right button closes it. And I literally say to myself, I'm like, lefty loosey, righty tighty, when I need to let go or grab on. It's the lefty loosey. I might get that tattooed.
That's real. That's like, real
no
innovation.
offense to these 2 dudes at all, because they're probably great people. I could probably sit down, chop it up with them, eat a steak, and just vibe out with these dudes. But there's got to be something way more interesting to talk about than a saying used for when you're screwing something in. Like, what's next? Are we gonna talk about bunny ears being the best method to tie your shoes, or maybe even schist being the best rock there is? This conversation just feels so bland and pointless. Like, if an alien were to imagine 2 human beings talking, I'm pretty sure it'd think of this AI generated.
I think that a quick 30-second segment about it isn't bad. It's just if you made it a 30-minute segment about lefty loosey, righty tight, like, I don't mind that shit on a podcast, bro. I don't think that's horrible. It's like, as long as they transition to something else interesting, bro. Because it doesn't have to be planned out. You talk about what's on your mind. If in a conversation lefty loosey pops up, you're like, yo, I actually fuck with lefty loosey, righty tighty. Like, that's some real shit. I don't have a problem with that. It's just, don't make that a whole 20-minute segment if it doesn't have to be.
ass convo right here. Like, this is the product of podcasts being so easy to start up. We now have dudes talking about screwing mechanisms as a topic of interest. Like, I don't think every conversation has to be important in a podcast, but there's no way that these dudes copped some premium podcast mics, got the setup and everything just to talk about lefty loosey, righty tighty. This podcast just has no meaning at all. It's just yip and yap going back and forth about nothing.
That's what podcasts are!
Worse, bro. Like, there's just too many podcasts now, and what more is there really to talk about? We gotta sit here and like just think for a second. What more is there really to talk about? Instead of having to get a degree for a job, people need to start getting a degree for a podcast. Like, let's just be real. Like, is there really a need for a podcast where frat dudes talk about Hawk Tuah?
Bro, I don't know if you heard of the Hawk Tuah girl.
Yeah.
Hawk Tuah. Spit on that thing. Yeah.
Bro, that blew out of proportion. Like, I low-key think it got too big.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't even know if I've seen the clip, but
now
good
this,
for her, I guess. I don't know.
This
No,
is
like,
a bad segment. This is what a
Dude,
bad
even
segment
at, like,
looks like.
Old Town, you'll hear Hawk Tuah remixes.
Really?
Yes.
Bro, I think it's crazy that you can like do one little thing
Oh,
and a
shit,
clip
my
can go
alarm's
viral
going
and then
off.
all of a sudden the next day you're like a celebrity. You know what I mean?
I gotta get ready for work.
It's crazy.
Yo, this guy in the comment section even gets it. This man said podcast equipment should cost $1 billion. I totally agree. I'm not gonna lie, like, no offense to these dudes, probably some great people, but I'd rather drag my balls through the hot Sahara desert than listen to these frat dudes talk for 2 hours straight. You best believe I'm serving a life sentence before I listen to Jimmy and Tom from the Beta Theta Sigma frat talk on a podcast for 2 hours. Like, this podcast is just drier than a Popeye's biscuit. There is no energy at all to this conversation. And you may be thinking, like, bro, you can't judge off of just one clip of the podcast, you know? This is every clip.
What is your favorite frat?
I don't know. I like how big SAE's parties are and like
Yeah.
Lambda, but like I think ASIG just threw a really cool party. So
Oh, I
think-
heard, dude.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Kyle was just on. He's an ASIG.
Yeah. It was a
That's
really
dope.
good party.
This podcast just sucks. This convo just sounds so generic and bland. No energy at all. Just, what's your favorite frat?
Yeah, no, that
I like
one sucks,
SAA.
bro.
They're bag. Oh my god, I heard Kyle's there. Like, get this off the airways, bruh. Like, what did Joe Budden say?
That shit is a 2-pack of ass.
I genuinely wish I could take back the few seconds of my life I wasted watching that podcast clip, because now I just feel 10x dumber than what I was before. I feel like one of the keys to a great podcast is an entertaining host, because there's gonna be boring parts to a podcast, and it's up to the host to make that podcast interesting when it's getting dry. But the problem with this podcast is that the host has the personality of a raw chicken wing. So when he talks about boring topics and he's also boring, that just makes the podcast 10 times more boring. Another problem with everyone starting a podcast is that some people don't believe that they need to do proper research before they record. Like, a little bit ago on Twitch, there was this streamer named Jason the Ween who hit 100,000 subscribers, you know? He was number 2 on Twitch for his amount of subscribers in that month. And then there was this shitty TikTok podcast called the 949 Podcast that decided to give their opinion on the whole situation. And no, they're not really knowledgeable when it comes to this whole streaming space. So this was their take.
Streaming is the new wave. It's
It
'cause-
is.
Yeah.
It's just, but the thing is, it's the new wave because of clips.
Exactly.
Like Jason the Ween, guess how many live viewers he has? Just guess.
Depends on the time.
Just guess.
Like
you guys
5K?
guess. Well, how many live viewers do you think he got?
Like 3K?
3K. So like he's like a number 2, or I guess like, well, he has like around 15 to 20.
Oh.
Oh wow.
I'm saying
That's
but
pretty
But to
good.
think about it, like that's not
What?
that good in terms of like views.
15 to 20,000, right? That's what you meant, 15 to 20,000. I don't think he meant 15 to 20 viewers, bro. He's fucking trolling, bro. He meant 15 to 20,000, right?
That's true.
I feel
But
like it's
live,
good for
Live.
live.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's good for live, but think about the people in the world. It's only 15K.
15K, yeah.
So that's what I'm
Right.
saying. Streaming is not like a mainstream thing.
Big.
yet.
Oh, he's just fucking stupid. Oh, God. Alright, yeah.
It's only
Yeah.
mainstream because of the clips that they put out after.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
get millions and millions of views.
Right.
But no one's actually watching that shit live.
Yeah. No, literally, bro.
There's a few things that piss me off about this dookie TikTok podcast. Number 1, this man is saying streaming is only big because of clips. Yeah, because nobody's gonna sit there and watch an 8-hour stream.
Right, that's what I'm
front to
saying,
back.
bro.
Fucking idiot. So to make it more digestible for the average viewer, streamers and their audiences make clips
Right.
so that
No. The irony of a motherfucker saying streaming's only big because of clips. and they have a fucking podcast. How do you promote a podcast? Let me know right now. How do you promote a podcast? How do you get people to watch your podcast? Fucking clips, bro. Shut the fuck up.
People can see their streams. What's so bad about that? Another thing this man says is 15K live viewers isn't good views because the clips get millions of views. That's how the internet works. And 15K is good because it puts him in the top 0.1% of streamers. Like, why is it surprising that a live stream has less views than a TikTok video? Are we becoming this slow in society where we can't comprehend that a live stream that you have to watch live has less views than a video where you can watch whenever? This dude knows nothing about what he's talking about. He's just saying a hot take because he has a mic in his face with the cameras on. This podcast just sounds like one huge gossip session. That's the problem with a lot of these podcasts. Some of them are just gossip sessions. Another situation of a podcast host not knowing what they're talking about is this one right here. So a little bit ago, there's a situation with Kai Cenat, right? He had a cameraman that was talking to an underage girl, and this podcast decided to put out their take on it because, hey, it was a fresh topic. Why don't we say something about it, you know? Why don't we do it for the clicks and engagement? And this is what they had to say.
Kai Cenat, everybody can't go. You need to start looking around. And I know, like, black people specifically, when you get some success, you want to bring everybody with you. But you got to be able to kind of weed that shit out. I shouldn't know who Chris V is. I shouldn't know who Chris Next Door is.
But Chris
this clip literally fucking pisses me off because he has no idea what he's talking about, bro. He has no idea what he's talking about. Oh my god, it actually makes me want to fucking throw up, bro. Chris Next Door did nothing, bro. What are we talking about, bro?
Next Door is literally an AMP member. What do you mean that you shouldn't know who he is?
I should know who Kai Cenat is because you are the driving force in it, but them I shouldn't even know who they are.
I think it's important to highlight that Chris Next Door is an AMP member. If you guys don't know what AMP is, that is Kai Cenat's group.
That's the problem.
It's not Kai Cenat's group. Kai Cenat was literally the last person added to AMP, bro. He's the biggest one in the group, but he was the last person added to AMP, bro. When he was smaller than everybody else, with the exception of probably Chris. I just don't understand. Why just be misinformed when you can be informed?
Kai Cenat shouldn't have a group.
Kai Cenat joined the group before he became this huge mega streaming machine. This dude knows nothing about what he's talking about. He's just saying a hot take because he's on a podcast.
That's how they got on.
Yeah. Having a team and making it with your team is very important. But if there are problematic people in there, kick them out immediately.
But you gotta know when you are the one, like he is the one. I get it.
So he should abandon everybody?
Yes.
He did not do this alone. Like, there was a journey of a camp of them. They came together. And I agree, like, this problematic person, this person that was underage girls, he has to go. He
wasn't even in the group. He wasn't even in the group. Oh my god! Every time I see this fucking clip, it irritates me,
Never
bro.
speaking to you. Cut ties.
Now that we are here, and it's the second, third, however many.
Because everyone actually grew themselves before they were in AMP. That's why it works so well as a group, because everyone had their own platform before joining. Except for Chris. He kind of created his platform after, but he was still pretty known. But this guy just knows nothing about what he's talking about. And this is my problem with so many of these podcasts. Like, if you're gonna put out a statement on any current topic, you gotta do the research to back it up. You're gonna end up looking like an idiot. You can't just go in willy-nilly on something that you know nothing about. That's why a lot of bigger podcasts like Joe Rogan have someone who can fact check, which is Jamie on his podcast. And if you can't afford someone to be in that spot, you should just look it up yourself before you put out this idiotic take on something you know nothing about. Like, there's a difference between a hot take and just a bad and uneducated take. And this right here is what I consider an uneducated take, because he just lacks the knowledge on what he's talking about. I like how some people on the podcast are like trying to tell him, like, yo, it's not like this, it's kind of like this, but he just doesn't want to listen. He just decides to be ignorant. I swear some people just get a mic in their face and their brains just go to mush. They don't know what they're talking about. I seen a dude the other day talking about how you need to stop wearing Nike socks with shoes for no reason at all, just because he said so.
Stop wearing Nike socks with shoes, bro, or a designer shoe. Even if you wear Nike socks with some Air Force Ones, just stop doing that, bro. I'm sorry, bro. I just can't see nobody wear no Nike socks with a pair of shoes, bro. Like, what are you doing? I think that's crazy.
What do your socks have to do with anything on your fit? I understand if somebody says stop wearing a Nike shirt with Adidas pants, like, that does kind of make sense, but stop wearing Nike socks with shoes? Why? Why don't you tell us why? Why? I think people got to realize it's fine to have conversations without them being you know, we need to start stripping cameras and microphones away from society. Everyone has a voice.
I agree, bro. Some people don't need podcasts. That last dude talking about socks does not need a podcast. But if people want to try and they actually got something to provide, go for it, bro. But don't get on the internet and start yapping and being uninformed. That's the problem I have. If you have no ideas or no direction, leave it alone, bro.